Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Stephen Richardson. I work in the High Performance Compute Global Black Belt team based out of London. I joined Microsoft this year after working for 20 years in the finance industry. And I'm really pleased to have us joined today by Greg Ulepic. So Greg is also a Global Black Belt specializing in finance based out of Chicago. So thanks for joining us today, Greg. Greg, would you mind talking about the work of the Global Black Belt team?
Sure, Stephen, and thanks for asking me to join this today. So the Global Black Belt HPC team has been focused in on bringing risk workloads to Azure, working across banks and insurance firms. We've been on this mission for about 24 months, and it's been very rewarding. Of course, the last 120 days has really amplified our work and also the need for customers we're working with to bring these workloads to Azure. Stephen, what types of trends are you seeing in your work?
So the key industry trends are obviously a huge increase in demand for compute. We're seeing customers want to move their grids wholesale to the Azure cloud, and we're also seeing customers who want to burst into the cloud. The customers that burst into the cloud do that initially, and then usually move their grids in good time. Customers are also taking the opportunity to accelerate their modernization of their risk management systems. We're working with customers who want to build their native cloud, born in the cloud risk management systems, and they're using PaaS technologies to do that. And the developers love working on the Azure platform. They're using the Azure Marketplace as their service catalog, rapidly prototyping solutions and delivering and iterating quickly to provide the best solution to their customers. So Greg, are you seeing those trends in the Americas as well?
Without a doubt, Stephen. And in fact, it goes beyond Americas. It's global in nature, and it comes down to some of the economic factors in play. So volatility is a key ingredient. We saw a VIX over 80 in the U.S. In late April. We're also seeing low to zero interest rates, which impacts banks, and we're also seeing a number of institutions, both financial and insurance-based, who have to consider the provisions or write-offs that they have to take for loans, both consumer and commercial, that are going to be delinquent. And so, what this is doing is just creating a mountain of computational demand to manage risk in the business, which is a core function. And so the requirements are such that you've got to run your risk workloads more often, and the business needs the results in less time, especially on these very volatile days. And fundamentally, we all started the year with assumptions that have pretty much been thrown out the window. So we're in a new time here, and we're working very hard with our customers to help them move faster. Stephen, as a practitioner of 20 years inside of a bank and working to bring risk workloads to the cloud, it's amazing to have your perspective and also to give you the opportunity to bring that expertise to a global set of customers. So what are some of the key values of the platform and capabilities that you're sharing with customers to help them understand, how we can help them to do more?
So customers are impressed with the completeness of the portfolio. So Microsoft loves Linux. 40% of virtual machines running in the Azure cloud runs Linux, and now it's a first-party product in Microsoft. Microsoft also loves Windows Server. Windows Server workloads in competitor clouds cost as much as 5 times what it costs to run in the Azure cloud when you combine with hybrid benefit. Windows Server 2008 going end of life is also forcing a lot of people to consider their options. On the Azure cloud, they can migrate their Windows Server 2008 servers to the Azure cloud and receive 3 years extra support whilst they migrate them to a more modern platform. Customers also love the way that they can buy capacity on the Azure cloud. So for those that have known demand, they can commit to a reserved instance for 1 to 3 years. And that achieves a 40% discount of what the equivalent capacity would cost them on premise. Customers are also bursting, as we talked about earlier. So where there's really specific short-term demand, they're using the opportunity to burst to the Azure cloud and paying pay-as-you-go prices. Where there's incredible demand is for spot pricing. So spot pricing achieves a 90% discount on the pay-as-you-go rate, with the gotcha that Microsoft can take this capacity back when it's needed elsewhere in the Azure cloud. Cloud and grid workloads are used to being interrupted. Back in the day, we used to do a lot of cycle scavenging on desktops and file servers where workload was interrupted and then resumed later. So there's a good history of working in this type of scenario. And we're working with customers who are building 100,000 core grids on the F series in East US, so industry leading sizes of grids, running that workload for 12 hours and achieving 1 million core minutes. And they're achieving a very good price of only $10,000 for that type of workload.
100%, Stephen. And in fact, amidst the volatility and very low interest rates and a lot of uncertainty, cost is a key component to getting this conversation started. And we can absolutely help drive out costs for this type of infrastructure. And in fact, we just ran a comparative calculation for a large financial institution in the United States. And this was for their XVA calcs. And on a 30,000 core environment, which needs about 5 million CPU core hours per month, we were able to show them a 70% savings over the internal costs. And the internal costs were incredibly competitive as well. So at the end of the day, on Azure, this customer could anticipate doing this XVA calc for a third of what it costs them to do it internally. So that's critically important to do this and to show this. And we will work with customers to help them model their workloads as we understand them, so that they can bring the case forward to their management.
So Greg, what should we do when customers are ready to take the next step and engage with us?
I think the key thing is to know that there is a specialized team inside of Microsoft with HPC understanding, scale out understanding. And we've been working with a batch of about 30 customers globally over the past 6 months to help them get to shorten their path to cloud compute and also help them expand and broaden these workloads on Azure. So the first thing to do is to bring a risk workload that you can prove out and then get approval to run in production, because that's the key path. Then reach out to your Azure technology strategist, reach out to your Azure account executive, and also work with your Azure seller. They will know how to find the capabilities and resources on this global black belt team. And we will meet you where you're at. We'll understand your workload, help you profile the best way to get started. We'll help you create the paths for orchestrating and scheduling these very large workloads on Azure. We'll show you how to do it cost effectively. We'll help you understand the security requirements and the hurdles that you need to meet for the business in order to get it into production and get CISO approval. So we're here to help, and we've got very specialized resources to do so. And it's all about helping you shorten the path to realizing the potential cost savings and also the potential to expand the capability to understand risk in your business. So I'd like to thank everybody for the time you took to listen to Stephen and I today. And we hope that we've compelled you a little bit to take a look at what we have to offer and how we can help enable your business to do more.